So on this truck here, in order to get to the pump, we'd have to take the front panel off. And those are just a quarter turn. And then they lift up off of the pins there. During operation, Mark will show you here, we'd actually, where he's pointing, you'd want to throw the panel up behind the drop tank, because if you have to move the truck, then you still have the panel. And there's the two locks on the front, you'd pull those, and then you can pull the pump out. The only reason that you'd really need to do this is to check the oil when the dipstick's going to be on the back of the engine there. And then that'll go back in. And then the other thing that you'd pull it out for is checking the fuel, which is just going to be the cap on the top there. During the operation of the pump is actually going to be inside of the compartment, but we'll show you on the outside here for operation purposes. The choke is going to be on the back side. And that's just a pull in and push in, and then the throttle there up and down on the front. For the operation of this pump, you don't want it out for operation, you want it back in the compartment. But when you slide the pump back into the compartment, these hoses will catch behind the slide, so you have to make sure that they're elevated so that when you do close it, it doesn't pinch the hose. Alright, so then to push the pump back in, you might need a couple guys to do it, but you're going to slide it back in. The guy on the left side is probably going to have to reach his hand back to keep those hoses up as you guide the pump back into the panel or into the compartment. And then you heard it snap, so you want to make sure that the pins on either side are locked in place in the pinholes. So for the operation of this pump, the first thing you do on the red knob on the front, you're going to turn that from run to start. Choke if the pump's cold, and then turn the key to start. Then push back the choke, and then you're going to turn the red knob to run. Open the tank to pump, and then throttle up. Now at this point you have everything you need. Pump is running, water is going from the tank of the truck into the pump, and you're good to go to flow water. Well then, once you have the pump running, in order to get water flowing through the nozzle, you would then take the nozzle off of the side of the truck. The hose will unwind on its own just by pulling. You'll throttle up, and then you can flow water through the nozzle. That's just a simple pressure washer trigger. Pull the trigger and you get water. Release the trigger and then the water will stop flowing. On this truck, very similar to the pickup, on the pump there's a rewind button. You do the same thing, you just kind of tap it. It's got quite a lot of torque to it, so you just have to guide it in to the hose reel as you go. Get the nozzle back situated on the truck, and then tap the rewind once or two more times just to get it to set. For foam operation on this truck, it is already set up. The hose is running to the foam barrel, sitting up right in front of the tank. To get foam to the pump, you just follow this hose. You open this valve. That'll put foam into the pump. Close it when you're done. And then down on the pump, right now the foam is set to 0. It's a full quarter turn. That would be 6%. So you just kind of use your best judgment. Halfway is about 3%, give or take. So you just kind of play with that up or down as needed, depending on the scene. So then once the throttle's off, or pump's off, close the tank to pump, and you're done. So then after going through this, we did realize that on the panel cover, it has holes on the face of it, so you can line it up in the peg holes, and it'll sit right on top of the compartment for during operation. And then once you break down and get all the pump shut down and you're done with operations. Slide the panel cover back on the pins, and then be a quarter turn twist lock. To lock the cover back in place, and you're ready to go. And the only other thing on this truck would be just for filling the tank. If you run it dry or whatever, so you just open this hatch, open the back door, hook up the Storz fitting just like you would on the engine from the pump inside the hull, and then once you're hooked up and ready to go, you just have to open this valve to fill it. Once it's full, shut the valve, unhook everything, and you're good to go. If you would have to use this as like a tanker operation, the dump chute is here. The extension for it is just up on the back of the truck. You just pull that down, fit it over the top here, and then this is the valve to open to allow the water to come out.
Okay, on this truck it has air power steering. It's an air assist power steering. The difference is it doesn't straighten itself out like a modern car does. If you turn a corner, you have to straighten it back out with the steering wheel. It has a 5-speed manual transmission. The shift pattern is right here on the dash. You have to use the clutch in shifting it. It also has a high and a low auxiliary transmission. Down is low like it is now. High range is up about here. You run it on the road in high range. For running in the woods or over rough terrain, you would want it in low range. The emergency brake was filmed earlier. It's on the side here. One word of caution you have to watch: when you get out of the truck, make sure you don't accidentally release the emergency brake. You pull it up to turn it on, push it down to shut it off. It also has a power takeoff shift lever right here by your right foot. It has a steel lock that flips up to lock the lever in neutral. It must be in neutral when you're driving the truck on the road, or severe transmission damage could result. It's a slow speed. Its top speed is about 45 or 50 miles an hour. It's made for off-road use mainly. It has a 1,000-gallon water tank, and the pump that's on it, there's also a small Briggs pump in the rear, which we will cover at a later date.